currently working on this cool new project, and it's essentially a spark shield or an arm guard depending on what I used it for that day. It's also good for me using cosplay. Right here, this is some leather I picked up from Hobby Lobby, I think. I don't remember where I got it from, but I got some of this leather. It's suede. I don't know how many ounces it is, but I believe it's for like upholstery or something. But it was all cracked, and so it was on a discount, which is great. Everything that's on a discount is normally great. It feels incredible. Uh, like I've worked with leather once before, only one time, but it was a chrome tan and it felt artificial. This right here felt just so nice to actually work with. Though over time I hope the fold marks actually fade. And right here, what you're going to do to actually create your arm guard template is you're going to measure around your bone of your wrist and around your forearm. And once you get those two diameters, from the points you measured, you're going to go from your wrist to your forearm. Measure that, and then like lay those out as a piece of string, so that you can actually know your length around your arm. From there, you can just lay it down and cut that shape out, and you should be mostly there. And now to cut it. Once again, I was just having trouble because I was having a slight amount of trouble because this just felt so nice that I was sort of getting distracted by it while I was recording. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this with the bottom right corner as closely as possible so I'm not wasting much. And let's move this back into perspective. The friction between the leather and the carpet was not helping at all. So now that I've aligned it with the rightmost edge, I've got some on the top and the bottom, but I'm going to try to cut it using my pocket knife. It should work well. I mean, I'm not sure how well it will work against leather, but I mean, if it works first try, that would be great. This video I'm most likely going to have to do over multiple days. Oh wait, it doesn't. Darn it. So, this will not actually work because it is not sharp enough to cut through. However, I can always just use this marker here and here. I don't think I should use pen. It's not quite working. But I'm gonna have to do this video over multiple days because I do not have I don't have much free time, having to go to school, study, get all the homework done, and then also try to make sure I'm also like part of a family, because that's important. Um, I've got two tools here that I can use. I'm just gonna use this marker because that will work. Thumbs up of approval. The other tool you saw me hold was actually it's a engraver. It's something I picked up from Menards, and it was only about like $15, but it was a good buy because it allows me to engrave on glass, wood, metal, a whole bunch of different things. Anyways, what I'm going to do is rather than making a solid line that would mark up the complete edges, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some dots and cut along those lines. Now that I've done that, I can just put the cap on that. Set this to the side. And as you can see, I've got the dotted line right here. And now let's see which type of, yeah, let's use these scissors. It was also quite interesting as I was cutting through this, the noise that the leather was making from the scissors cutting it, what sounded sort of like metal wire fraying in a way. Now that I've got that, I'm going to do this bottom corner here. And now I'm going to do this top right corner just right across so that it matches up with this other one. Let's just do this carefully. And now that it's done, that's great and fantastic. I can now, once again, this just feels extremely nice. And the edges also turned out well. It didn't fray at all, or hey, and as you can see, the arm guide. I mean, I'm having trouble holding it up to my arm, but as you can see, the arm guide worked pretty well. I actually learned this trick from another YouTuber. I'd love to do a collab with them. However, I'm not quite sure how I would do one with them. But I actually got this idea from this YouTube channel called Skilltree. So definitely check them out. And I'm up for doing a whole bunch of different collabs with different YouTubers. It's just a matter of me actually reaching out to them. I'm still not sure how to do that as a brand new YouTuber. And now to do the other one. Okay, so now that I've gotten both of the arm guards actually completed, I can now see, now that I've gotten both of these completed, I can now wait another second, and I've got these different bracers, I've got these different things that I'm going to put on either side. I'm going to put some straps across to connect these, and then I'm also going to make some buckles, because I think that'll look cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hop online and see if I can find a 3D model. Time for a fun time lapse. Right here, as you can see, the different buckles are printing in multicolored, and I'm just making a whole bunch of them really quickly. I've already made a few others before I started making this time lapse. And now for this last one. And right in here, as you can see, I'm just using some regular spray paint. I don't know how long I've had this, but after removing the cap, I'm just going to put these onto this wooden board, and I'm pretty accurate with the spray paint, so I'm not too worried about the piece of carpet behind it. But we just use that for a doormat anyways. I'm just going to do some small spritz like this. and spray paint it sort of like this. This did affect me earlier when I went to actually start sewing these things on, because it started rubbing off on my fingers, which I sort of just had to wear down, and it stopped. Okay, so I finished taking these, and I actually, as you can see, I spray painted them. Just put them here while they're finishing drying, but I've actually already gotten some spray paint on my fingers. Come on, why isn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not focusing. Anyways, finished spray painting these, and well, then I took this leather strap, and I figured, hey, why not use this to hold it so that I can adjust it as needed? And well, I personally think that once I actually get this through, I think that looks great. Plus, if I need to pull the strap more on one side, I can tighten it a lot more. Anyways, here, let's set these off to the side. Okay, I've laid this out. And now, just like how I've got this, it's the right size, I'm gonna now hold this up just right here. And so I will be doing 3 buckles down this. And now I actually have to figure out, using this marker, I'm going to mark out just how I marked out where to cut, and to mark out where to sew these latches on. Right there should be fine. Now I'm just going to use this type of thread. And here, I'll cut to when I've actually sewn these on. Right here was a tiny bit painful because I kept pricking myself trying to sew through leather. I am aware that there is an official leather sewing kit for this. I unfortunately have the thing of a budget where I have about $5 per product. So everything you see me do, pretty much just from using my own materials, not really using much machines, it's all just by hand. One of the reasons why these take so long to make and get out and be able to upload is that you can't really get an editor or anything. But since I don't have a sewing machine, I was just doing this all by hand. And now that I've gotten all 3 of these buckles done. So now that I finished sewing each 3 of these on, this took way too long. But as you can see, this is my first stitch, this is my second, and this is my third. Overall, there's visible difference of my progress in this. Anyways, let's just cut this off. Okay, I hate scissors that don't actually cut. Okay, that's it. There we go. Anyways, I'll set this here. So now that all three of these have been attached, I'm now going to do this. There we go. So, now that I'm downstairs, I've got all these leather straps that I've made. I've got 3 others for the corresponding arm guard. But now that I've got all 3 of these straps, I can now take my rivet gun, and yes, I'm going to rivet these. I'll also partially sew these on. I'm going to attach them sort of like this, because I had to trim down the sides of these so that they would fit right into here. Now, as I just pull this tight, there we go. I'm now going to measure this just to make sure that I make these straps the wrong. Well, I make them the right length, not the wrong length. That would be bad. But as you can see, this goes fully around my wrist. No problems there. So I can put these straps within a good, decent range. I should have brought my marker, darn it. Make one here. And one right there. I'm just gonna have 2 rivets just like that. And I'll do the same corresponding thing. Just press it down nice and tough into here. And I'm questioning, because once I rivet these on here, I'm questioning what is it going to try to pull through onto. I'm going to add another one of these straps, just a small piece, onto the back of this. So let me cut those out. Okay, so problem solved. Now when the rivet actually tries to pull onto something, it will have a thicker piece of leather to actually like grapple onto, rather than this thin leather, which when I look at it, okay, it's about the same length, or it's about the same thickness. I'm not sure the ounces of how thick this is, but I now have these pieces. Set those there. So now let's cut these holes and use the rivet just to push it through, and perfect. Here's the second one. Perfect. Now just to do this 2 more times. It's another one.
And now the final one is complete. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add some holes to all of these pieces. So, let's do that. Okay, so now that all of these different pieces are done, I'm just going to set these aside right here. And now I have to make all these corresponding holes with all these straps. This might be a pain. That's another one. And ow, I pricked myself. Another one. Let's just double check these. That's one. And that's a two. Now that we've gotten both those holes done and put in there, something I'd like to finish up is these edges right here. As you can see, there are these small bits right here. My favorite way to deal with these is to do this. Remember, I am a trained professional. Never do this at home. Just like that. If you just put them out just like that, but I pinched them because the fire is too small to actually catch anything on fire that is important. Once again, I strongly encourage nobody else to do this. I'm a trained professional. Now for this other side. Just like that. And now, as you can see, there are no more of those stringy loose ends. And now I can finally start attaching. Oh crap, I forgot where I put my rivets. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and I did indeed find my rivets. I keep them in this cool 3 printed container, and I can't remember how many I put in here. I believe it's like 120, 130. Either way, there's a lot. There you go. 5 and 6. Now I can start attaching these. Starting with this small one at the top. I gotta make sure to here. Is there a way to zoom? There we go. Wish I knew about that sooner. But watch, I'm just gonna go like this and individually put each piece on. That piece. And now this piece. Right through there. And now this last piece. Once it goes on. There we go, just like that. Sort of like an Oreo cookie, but made of leather. Now, I can finish if it will let me. It's not making the clicking noise, so it means it hasn't popped out yet. Yep, sure enough, it's still attached, and it's just not letting me pull the rivet gun away. There we go. It's clicked. That noise that's normally bad is actually good, because when I open these back up, this little piece actually falls out, and it looks just like this. And now take two, except for much closer. First piece there, second piece right there, third piece just like button right on there. Now just to feed this in and get this popped in. That's 3. Nice and quick. Bravo, and there we go. Just like that, these are all both securely attached. So now we've got the arm piece for the arm guard. And just pop this thing right out. There we go, just like this. Now for the next one. You can see right there, the arm guard is now finished. There are these small bits right here, which I'm going to take a hammer and hit really, really hard, but ignoring that part. If I get here, let me just zoop. There we go. I zoom out just like that. Put this right here, and better yet, I think it's going to be better if I just better and quicker if I just feed these in manually just like that. That's 1. This is about to be 2. Now just zoom back into original video. This is now 3. Just push through like that. Pop this in through here. If I can even do it. There. Give myself some extra slack. And now just like that. I can tighten these. I might need to get in some help to actually tighten these. However, I call that a fairly successful arm guard if I do say so myself. Now this part is the part that's going to be visible, meaning it's going to be right here on the inside of my forearm. This back part, you've seen the other part, I'm actually going to add on top. How I'm going to do that is the only part I need to plan out how to do. As I do my projects, I sort of go with the flow. So in the time-lapse video, you saw me print both this, a large protection plate, and then this one of the smaller plates for it. Well, what I did was I then took these and I used my soldering iron. I know it's not its intended purpose, and yeah, it covered the tip and melts plastic. Ignoring that part though, I used this on top of here to then create some plates. And well, currently for this, here, let me show you this process. So as you can see, I line the holes, make sure they're all nice in place. And now from here, so now once I take this rivet gun right here, let me just eject that, use this to make the camera zoom in. I screw in this this size tip. I add this piece right here, right into there. Once I feel there should be a click. Okay, just like that. And then align it with one of these holes right here. Push it down so that it clicks. I pull these apart, and then I push these back together. And I do this until in another moment you will hear a loud click. And what happens is then, right here at the tip, right there at the tip, there's this piece right here that pops right out just like that. And it ends up doing something sort of like that. From here, I then took these medium rivets that I made, and I sort of just worked them into the gaps right here. Once these were all in the gaps, I then used a rivet gun more like this one. And how these work is you take this piece right here, it goes right in like that, and then as you can see right here, come on camera, focus. It's not really wanting to focus. There we go. As you can see, it brings this ball right here and pulls it up through this sort of like handle-like piece of like this sword, and it deforms this metal bit enough inside of the gaps of this then that it allows these pieces right here to actually sort of merge. And now, just like that, I've gotten all but one of the rivets in. There we go. And just like that, when I open it up like this again, another one of these things falls out. Now I've gotten that full plate done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to score along this edge with a Dremel, and I'm going to score along this edge with a Dremel so that I can bend these plates both down flat, sort of like one of these. You see, actually my last rivet gun broke, so I had to get this replaced, and this one's a lot easier to use than this other one. So now, as you can see right here, maybe you can see the Sharpie, I drew some lines just along here like this, and then I proceeded to bend these down so that I'm going to put about 2 rivets here and there once I use my soldering iron again just to melt through this. And now from here I'm going to do the rest of these, but as of right now I've got 5 of these finished. Okay, I'll start this back up once I have finished these. Now I just finished putting in all the rivets to this, and I've started to just collect a whole bunch of these endings. So I'm going to clean these up, put this away. I'm going to finish, I'm actually going to draw the lines on this. I'm going to score and then bend these inwards. And same thing with this final one. And currently I have just a bunch of rivets to put in. So
And now what you can see right here is I'm using my, I'm not sure what type of Dremel this is. This is me doing this at like 10:45 at night. But, right here I'm using my Dremel. I drew the lines with Sharpie after I riveted all the pieces. This is me doing it up to large plate. And in a minute I'll be able to show you the small plate. But from this point right here, I'm just weakening the edges right here so I can just bend it like that. And now over here is the other side of the large plate. And it's not much, but I am able to, I'm just going to do this one real fast. Something I find funny is that as I'm using this, the vibrations of me actually using the Dremel against the metal, as it shakes the vise I'm using and causes it, causes the small pegs on the top and bottom to move. I can ignore the small lack of safety on the setup of how it's actually connected with the vise. The vise is currently it's actually too large to fit on the small, like thin. So what it does is it just rests on another piece of wood that has other stuff on top of it. Here's the smaller plate that I've also drawn the lines for. It was a tiny bit harder to do because of the rivets being so close to the edge, but I was able to get the Dremel in there and then fix it. Keep in mind, every single time this video cuts is me probably having to replace the Dremel head. Each time these things snap, they're a pain to get back on or replace. Also, for those who actually have noticed, I said if you look at the clamping method I used, it's not the safest, I do know this. However, in my defense, I told my parents I double clamped it, so everything's fine. I had to have one of them actually sit there and record for me since I don't have a tripod yet. And now we're back to this. Something you'll notice is that the zip ties that I bought don't actually fit inside of these holes, so I'll have to figure out another use for these in this project. But like as you can see, it slips right out and doesn't actually fit in the metal holes. So I'll have to wait on that.
okay, now, so after finishing cutting up these pieces right here, well, not cutting them, but scoring the edges and then bending these in, and I quote, I said, I double clamped it. So, feel free to leave any comments of any suggestions I should do in the future. But the metal and 3D printing part of this is now done. And now, here, let me lay it out. That's the first. Here is the second one. Along with the third. These are both going to be arm bracers. Or well, more amps arm bracers that I'm making. Where the reason I've got two of these small panels is because one goes right there, the other one goes right there, and then there. They both stack up just like this. I thought this would be really cool because I can now use this as a spark shield rather than a current piece of wood I'm using. And on top of that, I know I just really like the style of it. And if I support this right here, I can actually... Now I have to add some rivets on the sides and figure out how to actually connect these. Okay, so now what we're doing is all of these plates that I have made and fabricated here, where it's the 3D printed, the rivets, and the metal plates right here. Forget how hard those are. I mean, yeah, it's metal. Anyways, now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking this metal wire. Okay, this is like very poorly kept, but we're going to be taking the stuff I just unwound from it, and I'm going to now be using this to connect them all.
I absolutely hate how long this took. This took about 28 minutes, what is only a few seconds for you. But it was essentially like trying to sew through solid materials with metal. Or well, no, that's literally what it is. What I'm trying to say is that it only it only takes a few seconds here, but it took like half an hour just to complete because the wire wasn't wanting to go through this place, or it would bend while it was inside of the piece, and I had to pull it out. And then, as I pulled on one side of the wire, the other side would clamp down, and it would shift completely. Okay, and now from this part right here, this is me just finishing up connecting some more plates. Now that I've got all 4 of these right here, I can actually start connecting these now. And now right here, I'm just showing where I need to connect both of these plates using some more wire. Boy, this was tedious, and I really did not enjoy doing it. And one of the main reasons was because getting the right camera angle, trying to like zoom in, and then overall just 2 pieces might be more sturdy than 4, simply because the longer something is, the more loose the material is going to be. Like right here, this is at 16 times speed. To put that into perspective, this took about 2 hours just trying to figure this all out.
These have been created. Well, here, let me zoom out. Now that both sides are created, both the arm bracer piece and the metal piece, I'm going to attach this onto here, which I'm not sure how difficult it will be. Of course, this thing can move back and forth, so the end might be a tiny bit sharp. Same thing with this. Okay, this is definitely going to be sharp, but ignoring that part, it should be fine enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this pillow right here. I actually made this pillow a while ago when I was learning how to sew. I'm just going to drape it over like this. Then I'm going to set this on top, then sort of position it how I want it to go. So just like that. Because it's got an inner groove, I'm just going to press it in sort of like this. And now from here, what I'm going to do is sort of hold the piece on there, slide this pillow to the left. And there. Now that I got that on there just like that, I'll just roll this off. And I figured out a way to connect this. I've got these small little eyelets, or I forget the name of these, but I'm going to be adding these into there. And well, the zip tie, if you look at this, just barely, like I'm scraping some of the plastic up as I'm pushing this through. There we go. But I'm going to be connecting this right by this. Also, while all this was happening, I actually finished, I made this real fast. I was trying to figure out how to harden leather, and then I realized this was a not actual type of leather. Unlike this is actual leather, this is not. So I just did a stitch so I can hold my knife into place. Sort of like that. Or I can put it on the edge like that. It's sort of just you wrap leather around it and then you sew through once you've removed it and made the mark. Now, to add this eyelet to here, I'm going to do it with these simply because I hope it will be easier. And as you can see, I've got this piece over, and right here where these pieces are, I'm going to then try to make it just across from it. Okay, that is really not cutting. Time to pull out this. Just put it right there and push into the ground. App. Pricked myself with it. And just a small injury, nothing big. There we go. Now that that's added, something sort of like this is what I'm going to add. The only problem is it's not actually coming through. Keep in mind, this video is being made over multiple weeks, so it's a tiny bit difficult to stay focused on one project. Reason why I made this sleeve for the thing. And soon I'm going to be trying to find a background. Okay. I'm so close to being able to get this eyelet in. And then I'm just going to use the tool on it immediately. There we go. Pops right in. Took a hot minute. Like a very, very cold minute, but I got it there. And now I'm just going to use this manual eyelet tool. Okay, this might be a tiny bit of an issue. Here. I'll just do it like this. Align that on the inside. Fold the fabric in a tiny bit, and then... Ow, my arm. Okay, that didn't fully work, so I'm going to retry that. This time, I'm going to be pressing my hand into the ground so that I can actually get a full clamp. Right there you can see it worked partially, but not fully. Okay, that should hold, hopefully. Okay, I'm gonna have to hit that with a hammer really, really hard. So that's not fully in. However, now we're gonna add a corresponding one just a little bit across. Make a hole there. Add the eyelet right in. Okay, I tried to expand that a tiny amount, but that's not really working. I'm just gonna have to try to pull the eyelet through. I really need a better eyelet tool. This works, but it might just not work for certain leather types. Just like this, I'm going to be feeding the zip tie right through. And it's going to be immediately, well, no, not immediately, but once you pull the zip tie almost completely through, you're going to now set the armor piece on top, sort of like this. Feed it right through the gap in the armor in the most woven in place you can. Remember, this is not rocket science. Does not have to be exact. It just has to be mostly in there. Now we're going to run the zip tie right through here. Pushing it through as much as we can on the other side to give it as much room to be able to pull. Now, as we drape this through here, you're going to find the next closest loop. Just pop it right up and through. And right into the next eyelet. Sorry if you cannot see that. Really glad I stole these pliers from my sibling.
Right here, I forgot to notice, I put the arm guard on inverted, so I had to undo and redo this entire process.
Okay, so now I realized my mistake. I went back and I fixed it. So now once I actually put this on, well, let's see. What does this look like once it's actually been put on? A warning, you might want to melt down the zip ties once they've actually been attached, because they are quite sharp on the inside. Another thing you might want to watch out for is you might want to like have somebody else help you put these on. Now, take a look at that. Just based off of these leather straps, it holds it on nice and firm. Overall, I think this is working really well. Change mind, I'm not going to do it at all. So now, just like this, I think that works quite well, and this looks pretty cool. One of the benefits is that, another thing is that these are not meant for intended fighting, but if they are, oh yeah, remember when we added the flexibility to this? What happens is that when I go to bend up my arm, it also bends inwards with that. Okay, and now I just added a light coat of spray paint because it was a tiny bit too bright and shiny. Then I did this. I held this up to it to sort of finish burning off any of the excess alcohol that was within the whatchamacallit, in the spray paint. I just used this Rust-Oleum. You can see the things. Ignore my garage, it's messy with random materials from other projects. But this is where I'm to cut this project off. I actually got this just right there a tiny bit with I got that right there a tiny bit with the spray paint. Ignoring that though, I think I might have gotten a tiny bit on the actual leather. But ignoring that part, this is where I'm ending the video. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment down below, do all the fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. I think I'm gonna make a crossbow or something.